All right, good afternoon, and welcome to the Texas Association of Builders Zoom at Noon virtual education. Shortly, you will be hearing from customer service expert Marty Keane. She will explore what it takes to provide exceptional customer service in today's marketplace, as well as the importance of fine-tuning your customer service expectations and how to build a team that can get it done. Before we get started, I did want to let everyone know that Marty has saved time at the end of her presentation to answer a few questions. Now, Marty, whenever you're ready, I'll stop sharing my screen, and if you want to take it away.
Okie dokie. Give me a moment here. Start my video as well. I've been having an issue with the screen sharing here.
Let me know if you need anything, Marty.
Yes, I am trying here. I'm not quite sure if it did it earlier and then it stopped doing it. I don't know. Let me see. Okay, are we good now?
Yep, looks fantastic.
Great, thank you. Okay. All right, so today I want to talk about, as you said, taking customer service to the next level. Building an excellent team is the key component to doing this. Chick-fil-A has done a wonderful job of taking that chicken industry to the next level. Everybody has a choice when they go places or they buy from somewhere, and it's not always about the price. I know that when I'm on the road and I think of stopping for lunch, I instantly think of Chick-fil-A. I love the customer service. I mean, do I have choices? Yes, I have other choices. There's tons of chicken places. But when I drive up and I get that warm, fuzzy feeling when they always say to me, my pleasure, I absolutely love that. And so, you know, that relationship building and having that comfort level, it's very important. So how do we get to that point? So you want to move your company to the next level of customer service. And in order to do that, you need to set yourself apart from your competition, just like Chick-fil-A has done. I think it's very important to have something unique about your service because you're not always going to be the cheapest or the most convenient, but making it so that people want to work with you is very important. And to do that, you have to have a good team. So to move your company into a top position, you definitely have to make something that's unique. So you want to be the best in your industry. And again, not necessarily the cheapest, but the best. So it takes the commitment, leadership, and vision. Well, how do we get to that point? How do we make sure that we have the commitment? So you need to make sure everybody in your company is on the same page. Everyone knows the expectations. When we look at we talk about vision, you know, NFL or NHL teams, you know, they don't say that the goal is, you know, 5-12 this season. They want to be the best. And that starts with a coach, a good coach. So the leader. So when they're picking out NFL draft, NHL drafts, they're looking for the very best. And they invest the time and the money to be the best. So is the vision that you have clear? Is it communicated with with the people in your company? That is important. Communication is key. Everybody needs to know their job. The quarterback needs to know what he's doing. The wide receiver needs to know what he's doing. What is his job? And it needs to be communicated clearly. So creating a high performance team and bringing your customer service to the next level takes leadership. And it includes finding the right people, not just people, but the right people. A good leader is always looking. He's always scouting for a good employee. I mean, even if he has somebody in a position already, he's always looking. for somebody else that's better or is more experienced. But there are companies that hire people that have good personalities and have no experience because they know that they can always teach somebody the position, but you cannot teach people skills. I know that when I had my company, I had a pest control company, and I was always scouting for new technicians because I never knew, as my company expanded, if I was going to need additional people, or maybe somebody might quit. But I'll tell you, I never looked within my industry for those people because I could train anyone to be a technician, but I cannot train people skills. And a lot of times when you hire people from another company, they come into your company with bad habits, ones that you don't want to have in your company. They come in and they perhaps have a certain way of doing things that they've learned previously, but you want to start them out at the ground level and teach them your way. So NFL teams, when they go into recruiting, they are looking for positions and they're looking for the best ones for that position. So they will spend a lot of money and, like I said, a lot of time in recruiting, and because they want to be the best. They don't just bring on anyone. They don't recruit just anyone to fill a position. They want the best. So the coach knows what the quarterback does, and he needs to make sure that the quarterback knows what he's doing. So in order to build a winning team, you have to find the right players and you have to find the right people. So know the positions, know the vision, know how it applies to each person, and be clear what that vision is. When you have somebody in your front office, you want to make sure that they know that when they're addressing it, that they're the first face that people see or the first voice that people see. You want to make sure that that person is trained well and knows what your vision is. So you have to be clear about your vision. I took a course many years ago with Dale Carnegie. This is probably 30 years ago. And they had us, well, this is the time before cell phones, of course. So they had us stand up after we thought 1 minute had passed. And a lot of people stood up after like 20 seconds. And it's because being on hold for 1 minute can seem like an eternity. And that 1 minute can seem like a very long time. So it's important to have better customer service and not keep people waiting. So again, always be recruiting people and find the people that you're excited to work with. Nobody wants to work with somebody that they're not excited to work with. If you have excuse me, I'm sorry. Working from home has its downfalls. So sorry. I should have warned you ahead of time. So find people that you're excited to work with. If you have somebody who's a Debbie Downer in the office, it brings the entire office down. Okay, let's look at one key attribute. The one key attribute we all have is that we want to have somebody that's personable, that people like. So hospitality. And when everybody's been to a bar or a restaurant that they feel good about, that the server actually is interested in you as a person and, is communicating well with you, and you'll go back because of that. Now, if you have a server who's, doesn't come back or, doesn't check on you, customer service, even if the meal is really good, customer service is key because people will come back to be around people that they like. So you have a transaction or you have a relationship. And when you have a relationship, it's much more inviting. And again, you're going to come back for that relationship. Somebody who's smiling, somebody who's interactive, somebody who is genuinely concerned about your experience at their business. These are things that everybody appreciates. So looking at one of the toughest industries in the world, toughest markets, you have New York City. And in New York, there is a owner, that wrote a book called Setting the Table. This is Union Square right here. And this gentleman, he has over 28 restaurants that he owns and operates, and very successfully because of the relationships that he has, that he encourages his employees to have with the customers, interaction, and not because of anything else, just the relationships. So people are always looking for optimistic, warmth, intelligent, work ethic, empathy, self-awareness. And Danny Meyer, the owner of these restaurants, wrote the book, Setting the Table. And setting the table is nothing more than talking about the customer service aspects. I apologize for the background. So in his book, he actually talks about optimistic warmth, genuine kindness, thoughtfulness, a sense that the glass is always half full. Intelligence. Intelligence is not just smarts, but it's the curiosity of learning for the sake of learning. And you always have those employees that strive to continue learning. I know in our industry, I mean, I'm an entomologist by trade, and I've always strived to become more a public health entomologist, a board certified entomologist. And those are the people that you want on your team that want to continue learning and developing their skills. You want somebody who has a good work ethic, that they want to do more, and they want to pitch in and help whenever they can, doing whatever it may be. You have empathy for others, of course, how, connection for how others feel and how your actions make others feel, self-awareness. I mean, all of these things are very important in having a good employee. This is how you choose a good employee, not based on their current skills for the position, perhaps, but because again, you can always teach those things. But these other things that I just mentioned truly cannot be taught. They have to be something that is instilled in that person and that they already have within them. So Danny Meyer says, our staff performance reviews weigh both technical job performance at only 49% and emotional job performance at 51%. So how staff members perform their duties and how they relate to others on a personal level. So again, he stresses the fact that just doing the job is not enough. You have to actually have good relationships and camaraderie within the company that you have to be successful. So Danny Meyer also says in his book, it is my firm conviction that an executive or business owner should pack a team with 51 percenters, because training them in the technical aspects will then come far more easily. So if you have those 51 percenters who are striving to do more, want to improve, always improving, it's easy to get the other part of that puzzle complete, which is training. So hiring 51 percenters today will save training time and dollars tomorrow. And they are commonly the best recruiters for others with strong emotional skills. So building that team is very important. Nice people love the idea of working with other nice people. Over time, we can almost always train for technical prowess. So having nice people, and then they recruit nice people. And so that's how that team gets built. So recognize your own emotions and deal with those. So when we talk about skunking, everyone has smelled a skunk and at some point in time. And you can smell a skunk half a mile away. And so when you have what we would call a skunk, somebody has a negative mindset within our company, they tend to basically smell up the place, if you would call it that. So their attitude is contagious. And then you end up with, a team that is not productive. It's not productive to work with a skunk. It's not enjoyable. And so as harsh as it may seem, eliminating those people right away and putting somebody else in that position will save time and money. So when you work with people that you want to work with, then customers, when it's contagious again, customers want to buy from you. In my business, I was not always the cheapest. Very rarely was I the cheapest. And people want to work with people they like, and they buy from people they like. And when I first started out in the pest control industry back 32 years ago, there was a guy that worked for us that told me, nobody's going to buy from you because homeowners, men, are not going to listen to a woman when it comes to pest control. Oddly enough, I was extremely successful because what I found was the men weren't always the decision makers in that. It was actually the women. And they would say, I want to work with Marty. And a happy wife is a happy life. And so I inevitably got the job, even if I wasn't the cheapest, simply because the wives liked me. And so you don't always have to be the cheapest. You just have to be the best. So you can't win in the marketplace if you haven't won in the workplace. So you have to have truth and trust among employees. And it's, again, all I can stress over and over within this presentation is that you have to have a good team. You have to have the best team. So what else does it take to create a winning team that is focused on customer service? Well, it takes effort, it takes time, it takes investing in your employees. And as a leader, it takes you being involved, making sure that you're involved every step of the way. So having a winning team, the players want to be on the team. They want to be part of what's going on, part of the success story. And we have had people within our company who are maybe in our warehouse and they see what's going on in another area or aspect of the company, and they want to be part of it. They think that, they want to move up. They want to advance to that level because it's exciting. It looks exciting to them. And when you have a winning team like that, it attracts other winners. So within your business, people want to work with you and they want your company to win. So that's what's important, making sure that your employees want to see that that you're successful and that you have a goal. So action is necessary to achieve the goal. You make it about them. Help them lighten up. You have to remember that, you want to have fun in the workplace, but at the same time, you want to hold them accountable. And that is one of the biggest challenges, I think, when we have so much going on every single day and we feel overwhelmed. And it's, it may be that you have a masseuse come in and do shoulder rubs or something, once a month. Or it may be at our office, they have a food truck that comes. They have a different type of food truck every Wednesday. And it just lightens the atmosphere because we're all working so hard to achieve our goals. But at the same time, you need to let your employees know it's okay to relax. It's okay to, take a few minutes out of your day. A friend of mine, he just put an entire floor of his business with massage tables in it for his employees. It's crazy. But if you look at successful companies like Google, they do the same thing. They have, quiet areas that you can go to. And this is becoming more and more of a trend in business. So when you see that an employee is maybe not doing exactly what your vision is, maybe they're deviating, or maybe even they're falling into some bad habits, it's very important to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on with your employees and hold these employees accountable as quickly as possible. It's no different than children in a way. Of course, these are adults, but it's no different when you see that there is a behavior that's not consistent with what your goals are or your vision is. It needs to be dealt with immediately. So, winning team. Players want to be part of something great, and people, your business on a winning team or winning business. So action is necessary to achieve the goal. Communication and vision, you have to believe it will happen. You have to see it. You have to envision that, where you want to go with things. You have to see it in the distance in order to make it happen. It has to be something that is obtainable and realistic. And sometimes it may be, you want to go from a $1 million company to a $2 million company within a year. Well, how are you going to achieve that? You have to have the vision, and you have to see how that can play out in order to achieve that goal. So players want to contribute as a key player. And so when we talk about this, you have to provide a reward. Okay, so you have to provide training and then give a day maybe off or something as a reward. And our team, even as salespeople, I can't tell you how much it means to us just to have a pat on the back, to say, hey, you guys are doing great. I mean, when my boss calls me and he says, hey, Marty, I just want to call and say, great job, on, gaining this additional business or whatever it is. That means a lot. I mean, I don't even need a day off. Just that little pat on the back of recognition is phenomenal. But I have a friend of mine, he's in IT, and his boss is giving him the day off tomorrow because they've been on this project for several weeks. So rewarding your employees is very important. So just recognizing their accomplishments goes a long way. And I know that that's motivating also to me. Like, oh, wow, I got a pat on the back, because I gained a new account. Well, hey, I'm striving to get another account because I want that recognition. As salespeople really like recognition. It goes a long way in motivating them to push themselves further. So action is necessary to achieve the goal. Now, if the plan doesn't work, you change the plan, but never the goal. Going from that $1 million company to that $2 million company in a year, well, if you see that the plan that you have in place isn't working and you need to change that, then you change the plan, but you never change the goal. If that's your goal, you strive for it and you try something else. And you stretch people's goals. In our industry, we have like a 10% a year growth, and that's radical. But I'll tell you what, we all strive to achieve it, and we do each and every year. It's amazing, but we do. So actions necessary to achieve the goal. You have to look for leaders, invest time and resources in the leaders, and mentor the leaders. So when I say mentor the leaders, you have to make sure that you have a winning team that works together, and that when you mentor your leaders, you want them to feel successful and you want to help them learn more and more all the time. So the goal really is kind of like delegation. In other words, to build this team, you as a leader have to be able to rely on your team so everybody plays their part. Everybody has their role. Because if you have one person in that group that's not doing what they need to be doing, it could turn everything upside down. So you need to be able to rely on people. And that is building that winning team. So you have to be able to rely on the person that pays the bills or does the payroll, that they're doing their part in order to make sure everything goes smoothly. Everyone has their role. So it's not the will to win that matters. It's the will to prepare to win that matters. Preparation is key. So when you're building your team, you're preparing for that win. That's like practice for NFL or NFL players. It's practice. So you have to prepare. You can't just walk in and think, that everything is going to go in your vision like you see it without preparing for it. So now we have to have commitment, and commitment can mean several different things. Commitment on your part as a leader, commitment from your employees that they're going to actually follow through with the vision that you have and the way that you want it done. So everybody within your group has to be committed to the same goal. And if you have somebody that's not, that is not going to work out. You have to have the same commitment and the same vision, everyone as a whole. So commitment is not about what, it's about why. So people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that's, they want to know that you're sincere. People want to make sure that you sincerely care about their needs and you're trying to help them. I know that when I go out to buy something, I want to know that, I don't really care about, what they do. I want to know what it is for me, why they buy, why you do it. So somebody is trying to sell me something, I want to know, why they buy, and why you do what you do. So finding the why is critical for your vision, your company, the individuals who work for you. So you need to find out what that why is, why you do what you do. And I do what I do because I love entomology, and I love people. I like getting out there and helping people. I like to solve people's problems. When I had my own pest control company, people would call me, I have a terrible ant problem. Well, okay, great. I wanted to help them solve that problem. And it wasn't about the money for me. It never was. It was about helping people solve their problems. So most people or companies and brands focus on what and not why. So that's why you have to set yourself apart and make sure that you're focusing on the why, not on the what. So Home Builder Inc. Home Builder Inc. Is a company that has, they have open floor plans, they have spacious kitchens, they have all the things that people want, great outdoor spaces, luxurious owner suites, and many of the competitors are saying the same thing. So you have to set yourself apart. So it's one thing to say that, you have, all of these amenities, but at the same time, so do other people, other companies. They have these amenities as well. And, back to, looking at companies that set themselves apart. I called a company one time, and it was an oil express place. But when they answered the phone, they had a little catchphrase at the beginning that caught my attention. And the lady says, hello, my name is Debbie. How may I help you today? We're here to serve and meet your needs, or something. I don't know. It was some little catchphrase. It was like, wow, they want to help me. And I thought that was great. Just like the Chick-fil-A, my pleasure. So these things, set you apart, and it can be just the smallest of thing, but having that first voice or first encounter with the person at your company is very, very important. So when you're focusing on the why, we give ourselves a purpose beyond building a company, beyond making money, and beyond building homes. And so they focus on the why they do it. So we build homes designed to help you build relationships. So this is somewhere that you want to live. It's inviting, so that you can have people over, and that you have the amenities of the outdoor kitchen for entertainment. You have all of those things, and so this helps you build relationships. You can see yourself living in this house, having friends are over, having family over. You have everything that you need to build your relationships, personal relationships. It's a fantastic home, and this is their motto. So we build homes designed to help you build relationships. I'd love to live in that house, by the way. It's beautiful. So be prepared. Working on your why may force you out of your comfort zone. So in our company, we always say, if you're not uncomfortable, then you're not working hard enough. You're not trying hard enough. You should never be so comfortable that when you get that comfortable, you stop striving to do more. So you should never be so comfortable that you stop trying. So every single day we jump out of our comfort zone. I mean, 90% of the time I'm talking, I do a lot of presentations since I'm an entomologist. I am constantly working on ant talks, termite talks, things like that in front of hundreds of people. And that's very comfortable for me. So, every once in a while when we jump out of our comfort zone and do something different, I talk on another subject, I actually look forward to it. So I love being out of my comfort zone so that I'm learning and I'm trying new things. And I find that very exciting, quite honestly. So what makes you uncomfortable? Some people say public speaking makes them very uncomfortable. So if that is something that it is uncomfortable for you, well, that will help you discover your why. Whatever it is that is uncomfortable. So what makes your staff uncomfortable? That will help you discover their why. And it's very difficult to figure that out. And I go back to this over and over. Figure out your staff, what makes them uncomfortable and their why if you don't interact with them constantly. And that can be very difficult. When you're a busy owner of a company, it's to take time to interact on a daily basis, et cetera, with your employees. It can be very, very difficult to find the time in your schedule to do that. But again, it's very important. And so this is another reason why we go through the whole thing of building a strong team. So you may not have time every single day to walk through your facility. And, so what happens with that? So you build a strong team so that you have somebody else that can do that has their finger on the pulse of the office, perhaps, or manufacturing, or a warehouse, or whatever it may be. So building that strong team is key to being able to accomplish a lot of things. And again, when you say you as a leader accomplishing these things, it's not always you as the leader that are doing these things. It's somebody that you've delegated that to. But again, through delegation, you're still accomplishing those things. So you're still accomplishing those things, even though you're not specifically doing it, those things are being done. So it's interesting when we talk about delegation, et cetera. And within our company, we've had a lot of turnover in the last year. We had a new president at our company, and this president has come in and rearranged everything. He took just about every weak link out of our system, and he has built an amazing winning team. We have a weekly meeting on Monday mornings, and he would run the meetings for the salespeople, and talk about what we're doing in our territory and et cetera. And he has built such an amazing winning team, and that he hasn't even been on our call. We run our own call, our own meeting for the last couple of months, and it's fantastic. He has been able to do other things other than just sit on that call and listen to what's going on in every single territory, and what we're trying to accomplish in each territory, et cetera. He has built that winning team, and you'd be amazed once you build that winning team, how much freedom that provides you. That provides you as a leader with more freedom to do things and to accomplish things and to expand on things. So our warehouse is now getting Q&A certified, some kind of quality assurance certification that we should have done years ago. We manufacture everything here in the United States in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so we should have had a certification like that years ago. But time really didn't allow for that for him. So now that he has these winning teams that he's built, he has more time to do other things and expand. And that's really where you want to get to that point, so that you have the freedom to continue to develop and build and not have to basically make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, because they already know what they're supposed to be doing. So you don't have to do that. So you have people that say, I will, I can, I can't. And there's not much you can do with I can't. With I can't, you can help somebody to expand to, I can. Now, I will is another thing, but if somebody says I won't, there's not much you can do with that. So this just basically is telling you that I will, I can, that's great. But if somebody says I can't, they can always be brought to I can. And the I won't, that's never going to be successful. That person who says I won't is never going to get to I will. No matter what you do, they're never going, when they say I won't, they're never going to get to I will. So creating a comfortable feeling. So study and learn the art of great conversation. Make yourself different. We talked about doing what nobody else is doing. We set ourselves apart in our industry. We set ourselves apart because of what we do that nobody else does. We could take a product, for example, and our competitive product could be extremely similar. I mean, very similar. Okay, almost identical. But so we have a product that stands up in rain. Well, so does our competitor. But guess what they're not doing? They're not talking about it. So we start talking about our product, stands up in rain. And guess what? It's simple. Theirs does too. But since they're not talking about it, and we are, people think, oh, well, I guess the other product does not. So just setting yourself apart, saying something very simple about what you have is very different. And there was a show many years ago, Mad Men, and the lead actor in that, it was a marketing company, and they were selling cigarettes. And he says, well, tell me about your product. He said, well, we, dry our leaves, tobacco leaves, and everything goes, great, fantastic. Well, let's talk about that. Let's say that in our ad. He goes, well, the competition does that too. Lucky Strike, Marlboro, they're all doing the same thing. He goes, the difference is they're not talking about it. So setting yourself apart from your competition, even though you may have something very similar, is very important. So be a champion for your team and their families, and for your customers' families, and for their relationships. So in our company, we support each other. Our team is very solid. We had a guy that we just hired a couple of months ago, and then suddenly we were at a trade show, and he got a call from his wife, and she was in the hospital. Well, we all said the same thing: get on a plane, leave. Family first. Family first. Children first. Our company is fantastic about that. And from there, we all covered. His wife found out she had cancer. We all covered for him. He just started, but we did all of his meetings. We flew out, did his meetings, did his Zoom meetings. We took care of his position, his job. And when a couple of weeks later, when he was able to come back, he was tearfully grateful for the support that we had shown him. And so it's that, building that solid foundation and knowing your team knows they have your support is extremely important. So even if you have to make notes, little notes, jot down little notes about so-and-so, what's important to them. Maybe it's the fact that their son plays soccer. And so on Thursday nights, they, really want to attend those soccer games. Well, okay, so make sure, try to make sure that employee has that opportunity to be at those games. My boss would fly out for his daughter's soccer games across the country back when he was working in other territory. And, we all supported that. We thought, that was fantastic. It's very important to have, to make sure that your employees know that what they're doing for you is for their family. It's for their lives. And it's not just about you and the company. So realize everyone feels, and, be fun, be friendly to your employees. Nobody wants to work for somebody that's always in a bad mood. They want to work for somebody that's happy. And I have a friend of mine, and she was dating recently, and she said, guys don't want to hear your problems. They say, how was your day? Well, they don't want to hear, about how horrible your day was. No, she's like, happy and busy. That's what they want to hear. And it's kind of true. I mean, nobody wants a Debbie Downer. When you say, when you walk into your office building and you see your employees, they don't want to see that look on your face. It definitely transfers to them. They don't want to see that look on your face of, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. They want to see somebody that's happy. And, that is, it's a reflection. It's contagious. You walk in and you're like, hi, Melissa, how's your day? How was your weekend? Do you have big plans coming up this weekend? How's your son doing in soccer or whatever it may be? They want to feel that personal interaction, that personal touch from you. And then that reflects in their work. They're happy to be there. They're happy to do their job, and they do it better. They're more successful. They want to make that leader happy. They want to, make sure that they're doing a good job so that their leader is happy. And it's very true. They want to make sure, I want to make sure my boss is happy. I certainly don't want to upset him, So when he comes in and he's happy-go-lucky, then so am I, and I'm enthusiastic about my job, and I just want to do it better. And, it's contagious. So stay current with trends. So the revenue from the gaming industry is now larger than the revenue from movie industry and music industry combined. So when you may have to change something. So when you're selling a house, you're building a home, the media room was the big thing, right? Well, I have to tell you, the gaming, now it can be a game room instead. My daughter moved out and my son turned her bedroom into his game room. I've never seen anything like it. Gaming is huge. I cannot tell you. My daughter is 21 and her boyfriend's 21. He's still gaming. I just never in my life saw that coming, that, grown men would be gaming. But the gaming industry is huge. I mean, we have seen Blockbuster, go to the wayside. We have seen things like that, all go to the wayside, including like CDs for music, the cassettes, all of that, they've all gone to the wayside. Now it's all about gaming. So again, instead of maybe having a media room in a house, call it a game room, a gaming room. I'm not really sure, but because I don't game, but I think, staying with those trends is very important. So, and just looking here, quality, commitment, caring, trust, and brand are now the price of entry. Customers today are looking for speed, convenience, quick response, choices, and flexibility. And I know we just have no patience anymore. We have everything at our fingertips. I mean, if my phone is a little bit slow, it drives me crazy. Everybody wants instant gratification. And the same thing when, we're looking at houses or, to buy a car, and we want to do it quickly. And we want to, do it. We want to do it, make sure it's convenient. We have Carvana, Vroom, we have CarMax, everything online now. We don't even have to go out of our home to, find a vehicle. And we want to have lots of choices. We want to have, Carvana, all of those, they have hundreds and hundreds of vehicles online. And so we want that. We want a quick response. If we say, I like this vehicle, we want an instant response. Is it still available? How much is it? What's the tax, title, and license? We want to get things done quickly. So customers know who's trying to sell them and who's genuinely trying to help them. And, that goes back to what I was saying before. If you're trying to be a slick salesperson, people can sense that They want somebody who wants to help them. They want somebody who wants to that has the same vision as them. Let's say it's buying a car, and so, you want somebody that's going to help you find what you want, not just be that slick car salesman. Relationships are always important. They will always be important in transactions. I want to buy from somebody that I feel is genuinely wanting to help me and that is sincere, not trying to just, trick me or sell me something I don't need or want. So it's important to have a good relationship. So in conclusion, be consistent in your character, and genuine people are consistent. So it's about being absolutely genuine. So communicate your vision. Make sure that when you communicate, that you're communicating clearly, that there's no room for error. Make sure it is very clear. And when you are with your team or you're in your office, try to focus on being in the moment. If you're looking at your cell phone or, you seem like you're, miles away, people can sense that. And so when you're with your team, and I say this even with my family, be in the moment. And I had a recent experience where I was in the car with my son for 3 hours, and I told him, put the phone down. Put the phone down. This is a great opportunity for us to spend some time together. Be in the moment with me. Let's talk. So really listen to understand their why. So genuinely listen. Don't sit there and just hear what they have to say. Genuinely listen and take that in. So walk around your business and engage every day. And again, I said this before, it's very difficult when you have so many things going on to take time to maybe walk around your business and talk to every single person in that office. That can be very difficult. But again, this is where you build that team, and maybe you can't be there every day, but you have somebody that's doing that, walking around the office and engaging with everyone every day, building that team. So, cut through, the BS when you're going through, your office, try to engage. If you have the time, try to engage, but make it brief so that that you have the time to do other things, and focus on relationships. And I say this over and over, focus on relationships, not the transaction. Focus on the relationship that you have. And it's amazing what will happen. Instead of just worrying about, closing the sale, I don't even I don't even try to close my business anymore. I pretty much assume the sale. I assume that if I'm doing the right thing's going to happen. So I just basically assume that that's what's going to happen. And so far it's worked. So I don't know. I don't ever, sit and worry about how many cases of product somebody's going to buy from me. I'm more about, what can I do for you? Do you need training? Do you need whatever it is you need? What can I do for you? And I've always said that, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, if you're doing the dues, it will come. I'd never look at my numbers on a daily basis. I know that if I'm working and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, that everything else will fall into place. So at the end of the day, the most important customer is you. Always be good to yourself. So always take time out for yourself. I have a new app on my phone, and it constantly tells me to take a moment out of your day. And actually, it's very good advice. That is extremely good advice. So be good to yourself and do what you need to do for you. I know that at my office, if somebody's sick, they always say, take care of it. Take care of yourself. The work will still be here. Like, be good to yourself. So thank you very much. And I know that we may have some questions, or I hope we might have some questions. I think that Blair, were you going to take charge of that?
Yes, that was great, Marty. We do have some questions. We have about 10 minutes for questions, and if anyone has additional questions apart from these, please type them in the chat. So for the first one, do you have any suggestions on what to do if you have a quote unquote skunk in the office, or how to make the team members feel more cohesive if that's going on?
Yes. So if you have that in your office, and it sounds very cutthroat, but that person needs to be replaced. That's what's been happening, the last year in our office. We have eliminated all negativity within our company, and we no longer deal with that. But we have actually filled those positions with the right people. It sounds really cutthroat. It does. But if you have that one bad person, that one rotten egg, right? It will affect everything else around them. And again, I hate to sound cutthroat. There's really no way to turn that person around. You can try, you could all, of course, bring that person in, have a discussion with them, ask them genuinely, what they need to, whatever it is, make them happy. You can have that conversation, but at some point you have to realize that if that person's not a good fit, they're not a good fit, period.
When recruiting, do you look for people within your company? Do you look for those people inside of the industry or outside of the industry?
So it depends. If they're in a different position within our company and they want to do something else, we're certainly happy to take a look at that. When I started out in my industry, in the pest control industry, I actually, oddly enough, I was working in accounting. I took the job in accounts payable, and I saw the salespeople out, doing, calls and, all that. And I was just mesmerized by it. I thought it was so cool, that they get to go out and, see, a squirrel in an attic or, whatever it was. And so I asked if I could change positions, and they'd never had a woman as a sales rep back in 1989. They had never had a sales rep.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they were a little hesitant at first. It took a little work on the part of the sales manager. But I loved it. I just absolutely loved it. And I was number one in sales after that, every single month. And
congratulations.
Had a passion for it. So yeah, so you can look within your company if you find that somebody has a passion. Now when I say hiring from outside, I hired my technicians for my pest control company that they had no idea what pest control was. They, if I met a bartender, waiter, I don't know, somebody in a hospitality position, somebody that was working at break check, whatever it would be, I'd recruit them if they had a great personality. You can teach people, how to, carry a B&G, but you can't teach them how to talk to people.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice on how to motivate employees to hit targets, but not push them hard to end up demotivating them?
Yes, back to that whole pat on the back thing. It goes a long way. One of the things that Terminex did that I really liked, and this is when I very first started, was that, they did competitions, and it was for silly things, it was for very silly things. We had, if we sold some X number of dollars during, in a day or in a week, whatever it was, they had these balloons on the wall, and inside of each balloon, you would throw a dart at it and you would win whatever was inside. And it was usually like a $50 gift certificate or something, but it was fun, to that competitive edge, everybody wanted to be the one, to throw that dart at the end of the week, so I think, motivating people and rewarding people is very important. Again, even if it's just a day off, if you say, okay, whoever meets this goal, gets Friday off. It can be something very small to motivate people, but they just need to know they're appreciated. And when you're trying to push people and you're trying to hard push them, that never works. That absolutely never works. People actually become offended and they retreat. They feel like, they're being challenged in a negative way.
I think we have about time for one more question. How can someone, no matter what position that we're talking about doing this, how can they find the time to do all of this, to motivate their employees and get their job done and everything like that?
Exactly. That's where we go back to the whole premise of this presentation is building a team, building that team. So let's say, for example, we talked about, so the president of the company, the main person, they have to find a good sales manager. Okay. For example, and then that takes it off their plate. So now you have the sales manager. Now the sales manager, maybe he has one of his team members that's exceptional. So, he says, hey, when we have our meetings, can you mention, how you've been successful? Can you tell everyone, during our meeting how you have achieved the success that you have? So it's all about, it's time. It really, time is our biggest enemy. Right? We only have so many hours in a day. And so one person cannot do it all. Delegation is key. You have to be able to delegate and have responsible people that work for you, that can help you accomplish your vision or your goal.
That makes sense. Well, Marty, I wanted to thank you for this amazing presentation. And I wanted to let everyone know that this recording of the webinar will be available on Texas Builders YouTube channel. And I wanted to thank everyone for attending and have a great day. And thanks again, Marty.
Thank you.